Nobody's helping me. Nobody's helping me. All these men for what?
What do you want us to do?
What a lot of women do not want to admit is that this would be exactly them when they get into a situation like this. Because so many women have been fed the message that they have to be strong, that they have to be an independent woman, that is really where their value lies today. But when push comes to shove and they get into a situation like this, they're looking for a man to help them. I don't think there's anything weak about that. I think that's just knowing your strengths and knowing somebody else's strengths. The problem is when you're living in a very peaceful, calm state and you're not falling into situations like this, it's unfortunately a little easy to forget the value in somebody else. The problem is when so many women villainize men as a whole and they say that they'd rather pick the bear than be with a man. They don't realize that in the next instant, if they were out of their peaceful, calm state and they were in a situation like this, they would be looking to a man. And what do you think men feel about that? Because they know this. And do you hear the man in the background saying, "How can I help you?" Like he is willing to actually still help. And that is the majority of men. That's what a lot of women don't realize, is that even though you bash them and you push them down, they are still coming up to the plate. And that should be admired.
The idea of equality sounds good until expectations shift depending on convenience. Roles tend to be criticized until they're suddenly needed again. Eventually, men adjust by stepping back entirely.
We're past the era of men making assumptions that women need help. Because again, that could be considered disrespectful and misogynistic. And so men aren't going out of the way to just lend a helping hand to women because they don't want to be seen as misogynistic.
We're moving into a space where unspoken expectations don't carry much weight anymore. If something matters, it needs to be said plainly and without hesitation. Silence is no longer being interpreted as a request.
My problem is that I hate men, you know?
Lots of women think it's like a female empowerment, I'm a strong woman thing to say that you hate men. On the contrary, when a woman says she hates men, it's usually a telltale sign that she has terrible, horrific experiences with men and that she allows toxic men into her life, into her love life, into her bedroom. The question isn't, are men toxic? Because there will always be toxic men and women in the world. The question is, why are all the toxic men in your life? Why have you allowed men to treat you so badly that you now hate them?
Some people will keep reinforcing the same narratives while others quietly operate on logic and observation. Over time, outcomes tend to correct perspectives without needing debate. Reality usually speaks louder than opinion.
Okay, this is it. That's not love. What do I mean by that? If you are dating a man that sees you struggling, he doesn't offer to help you in any way, that's not love. Now, he may tell you he loves you, but anybody that sees you struggling, if a man says he loves you and he sees you struggling or he sees you going through something or he sees that you're in need of something, whatever that is, and he has it to help you and he doesn't, that's not love. That love is not genuine. That is some flawed love, because love does. Love provides. Love gives. Love is an action word. So if somebody loves you, they do because they love you. They give because they love you. They support you emotionally because they love you. And if they're not doing that, that is not love, girlfriend. You need to check that quality of that love. All right? That's my tip.
A friend once gave everything he had to support someone he cared about, consistently showing up when it mattered. When he needed something small in return, it was dismissed as unnecessary since it was never requested in the first place. That moment tends to clarify how one-sided effort is often perceived.
Yo, what is up with men? And I know this is always a topic.
And what specific topic is this video going to be about?
Here, but I'm generally speaking about why do men have a hard time helping women?
They don't have a hard time helping women, but they've been told to leave women alone.
Something that I have observed not only in my personal life, but literally in the outside world, because I'm a watcher. Men will stand there. The women will have all the bags, the kids, the suitcases, the luggage. She'll be doing everything, and he's just standing there.
I wonder, did she ask for help?
They'll just be standing there, like just watching the woman suffer as if it brings them some kind of pleasure. From my perspective, it looks like that, because I'll just be looking, and I'm just like, anybody would help that woman right now. Why are you just standing there? Y'all are the men.
guess some women do need men after all, if for nothing more than to carry heavy objects. But I guess one didn't take into consideration that a lot of men stopped helping women because whenever they do, many times they're often told that they're not doing it right, they're doing it wrong, and the woman will just redo it anyway after making the man feel about 1 inch tall. Gee, I can't imagine why more men wouldn't want to help out.
If someone presents themselves as fully independent, it makes sense to allow them the space to operate that way. Stepping in uninvited is no longer seen as helpful, but intrusive. Respecting that boundary has become the default.
Some Korean men are refusing to help women. A few days ago, a woman in her 20s lost consciousness and fainted when she was on the subway. Apparently, there were a bunch of men in their 20s and 30s who refused to help, and saying something to the extent of, "It has nothing to do with me," which got the women on the internet pissed. According to the Korean woman, the reason being, all able-bodied Korean men have to serve military service. They do learn CPR in the military. So it was expected for men in their 20s and 30s who likely just got out of the military to jump in and help because they know how to do CPR. But a lot of the men on the train didn't. And their reason being, they did not want to be accused of sexual harassment. There were a few incidents where men were actually accused for sexual harassment, for trying to help the women. Back in 2014, a South Korean woman had actually tried to sue a male EMT paramedic for doing CPR and doing chest compressions on her. Although the paramedic wasn't charged or convicted with anything, since he was reported, he still had to go through an investigation. There was also another story shared of a Korean guy going up the steps in the subway station, and there was a woman in front of him seemingly about to fall. He put out his hands and tried to grab her from the back to prevent her from falling. The girl freaked out and called the police on him, and he ended up in the police station. That being said, these are all the men's side of the story. They'd rather be a bystander than getting their names tainted with SA. This all seems a little crazy to me. I mean, I get it if you don't want to touch the person because you don't know what's going on. At least call for help. What do you think?
You can't consistently discourage involvement and then question the absence of it later. Natural instincts to help don't disappear, but they do get suppressed over time. Repeated outcomes tend to shape future behavior.
So I get asked why guys aren't helping girls anymore, and I have a perfect example of why. So first off, don't yell at us for opening the door. That's the reason why we don't open the door anymore. But I saw this thing on the news that is the perfect example, exactly why men do not help you anymore. So this lady was getting attacked in New York, and the guy gets out of his truck, fights off the attacker. The attacker then pulls out a gun and shoots the guy. The police show up, and the lady then says, no, that guy got out of his truck and attacked me, and the boyfriend shot him in defense. But when the police questioned witnesses and the videotapes of nearby businesses, they saw the truth, and then the lady finally confessed that, yeah, the boyfriend was attacking her, and the guy defended her, and the boyfriend then shot him. This is the reason why men aren't helping women anymore. We get lied and disrespected so much that it's not worth the risk of us being in trouble for attempting to help.
Small gestures that were once normal are now often received differently. What used to be seen as polite can now be interpreted as unnecessary or even unwelcome. Men adapt quickly to that kind of feedback.
If we being completely honest, the reason why niggas don't be quick to help the IG baddies, you know, the bitches that keep their hair done, they nails done, always on a different trip, always in a luxury brand, is because you bitches give off the impression that you don't need help. We'll rather help the girl that's working overtime, working doubles, still trying to get to somewhere, but she just can't get there. She need a little motivation. She need a little help. Yeah, we'll help her. Bitch, I'm not helping you when you got a $3,300 Louis bag. I don't care if you pay for it or not. This is the problem with you creating the image. You bitches are create a rich bitch image. Then soon as you meet a nigga, you try to make it seem like you're going to die if he can't pitch in and help you. Let's make some shit make sense. No, most niggas ain't stupid. The thing is, a lot of you bitches don't even know how to stroke a nigga's ego to get what you need to get out of him. You just come straight panhandling. Dry as hell, you ain't own shit, nothing. Just think you entitled to a nigga pockets. So yes, a nigga is more liable to help a girl who's actually in a struggle and trying to get somewhere rather than a bitch that's trying to keep up an image and a validation of other bitches that don't even like her in the first place.
There's a noticeable gap between how independence is presented and when support is still expected. That contrast doesn't go unnoticed for long. Eventually, actions start aligning with what's consistently communicated. If the message hit, like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.